Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Roll with Advantage. My name is Joe, and today I've got something that I've been cooking up for a while, and I finally have the time to film, and I'm so excited. So for those of you that don't know, on my Twitch channel, which you can find in the description down below, I have 3 different campaigns that I DM weekly. Yes, 3. I DM every single week. Yes, I'm going insane. It's okay. I love D&D. Those 3 campaigns are the Salamander Coast campaign, the Isles of Iverion campaign, and then lastly, the Explorers of Efera campaign. The Explorers of Efera campaign has been going on for the longest, where they are on about session 35 right now. They just finished 35 as of recording this video. And one thing that I've noticed is that it's hard for people to get into the Explorers of Efera because there's so much backlogged content, and there's not necessarily a good way to learn all that content without going back and watching all 35 times 4 hours of video. That's a lot. I understand why nobody would want to do that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create a summary that is session 0 through 35 condensed into about 10 to 15 minutes. If it's anything over that, I'm so sorry. I haven't timed this yet. We're going in. Let's do it. Roll the intro, roll the music. Let's do this summary. Ah! Like many great adventures, the Explorers of Efera begins with a group of people trying to escape their past, only to be thrown into the fire. Efera is a mostly uncharted continent, occupied by tribal people that have a rich spiritual history. But the city of New Verdalka offers a place for travelers to take their first steps on this distant land. 4 such travelers arrived in the city of Wayward Souls. Alec, the elvish daughter of a powerful chief. Organics, an Aasimar librarian from a city of scholars. Selah, a human cutthroat from the slums of a city of angels. And Cyrus, a charming tiefling from the Tarkirian aristocracy. In the city of New Verdalka, they see the old ways being overrun by stone buildings and sharp axes. Statues and totems dedicated to the worship of the primordial titans were replaced with temples and cathedrals dedicated to the 9 divines. When the 4 arrived, they were contracted under Jalissa, a fellow native running the local thieves guild, and Duncan, an older man with vast knowledge of Efera. Both of them looking for the lost city of Nibiru and wanted to use the party to help them find it. As their adventure begins, they delve into the jungles and ruins of Efera and begin to follow the clues that may lead them to the fabled lost city. There are several allies and adversaries that the party meets on the first leg of their journey. Their allies being Captain Vera Tinkertop, the Slab King Zalex Ironmaw, and Umi. Their adversaries being Charles Windren, a man with a jawline that could cut glass. The Warlock, who seemed to have control over ravenous gnolls alive and dead. And finally, Duradine Dupree, the head of the expansion wing of the Tarkirian Trading Company. Over the course of several weeks, they managed to incite a great deal of anger in Duradine Dupree, who, through Jalissa, threatens them and their families with a fate worse than death if they do not cease their current course of actions. The party hatches a plan with Jalissa to move forward covertly and away from the gaze of Duradine. They pack their bags and prepare to head to the capital of the New World, New Efera. They headed there looking for an ally of Duncan to help them locate the next clue that would lead them to the fabled lost city. Their journey north is not without danger and excitement, every other day fighting back against the bandit group known as the Screaming Weasels, or the Ravenous Gnolls of the Warlock. 2 things happen along this journey that is integral to the adventure as a whole. The first is the confrontation of Mama Z at the Colorful Cauldron Inn, a woman who was truly a hag. After defeating her, they saved a man by the name of Varnast Halmaru, a human cleric of Estitia, the primordial aspect of water. Worshipped by the natives of Efera, but also other spiritual nations around the world. Varnas tells the party that he was sent by the spirit of a native woman, Alec's grandmother. The party apprehensively welcomes Varnast into their ranks, and they continue north to New Efera. Before they arrive in New Efera, there is still one more stop along the way. The small village of All's Crossing, a city where natives and colonists live together in peace and harmony. In this place, the party ended up taking in part what is known as the Eferan Path of Peace, a spiritual journey that all of them would go through together to grow closer to one another and confront the things that were darkest in all of them. The shame Cyrus feels about his past, the fear Morganix holds for the future, the regret that Sayla possesses for her mistakes, the pain Varnast carries with him, and the acceptance that Alec is yet to find. Some take this path easier than others, and regardless, after the events of All's Crossing, the party is closer than they were when they arrived. With their new allies of the laconic dwarf Grey Wayfinder, the calming Asimar Nahara Gold Rivers, and the chubby Thomas Myanthes, their goal is more clear and more dangerous than ever. They realize as they leave All's Crossing that this is so much bigger than they are. They don't push forward just for themselves, but they push forward for all the people who rely on them to do what's right. Finally, after almost 2 weeks of travel and hardships, the party arrives in New Efera, a place that was supposed to be full of life and opportunity was instead full of abhorrent activities and heartbreak. The party discovers a thriving and sanctioned slave market, dealing not just with the natives of Efera, but people all around the world. The party has many reunions in this city, but 3 of a special note. For one, Varnast is reunited with his 2 best friends from his time working in the Golden Shields. The same 2 that slit his throat and left him for dead before he found the party. Varnast receives vengeance on one, but the other escaped his grasp and is presumed dead. The second reunion was one between Cyrus and his alleged long-lost father figure and teacher, Runemaster Imariel. Imariel would prove to be a valuable asset moving forward, and one the party would be in dire need of when they needed to escape the city. The final reunion was the one that stung the most. After months of separation from her tribe and her people, Alec finally was reunited with her father, Logan Silverfoot. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, as their reunion quickly turned bitter when the information was revealed about Alec's father, and the fact that he was selling people of his own kind under the rug in order to provide safety for his family. Although there was still much to be discussed and much more to be discovered in New Efera, the party had a delicate task in the balance. They knew where the next clue was that would lead them to Nibiru, and they decided to strike a deal with Emerald so he would teleport them to the Temple of Estitia. In this temple, they discovered the truth about Nibiru, that it isn't a place of wealth or knowledge, but a place of power. All of the spiritual powers that the natives possess in Efera runs through that lost city. If someone were to find it, they could do irreparable damage not just to the natives of Efera, but to the world as a whole. They were given a blessing by the servant of Estitia and were ready to head on their way. Before they were able to leave the temple, it was attacked by a massive monstrosity that they had only heard tall tales of. Korva. A gnoll standing 8.5 feet tall with an emerald eye that he could channel powerful magics through. The party narrowly made their escape, and through the ancient magics that was gifted to them by the servant of Estitia, they ended up in the city of All's Crossing, 3.5 months into the future. A revolutionary war had broken out on the continent, some fighting for freedom and others fighting to maintain the status quo. The party found themselves directly in the middle and chose to fight for freedom. Through keen thinking and strategic lies, they were able to shift the tide of the revolution in their favor. Now, with fractured divisions of the natives on their side, along with a fresh army of 450 soldiers, they can blaze a path to victory and start to right the wrongs that had been done many years ago. After achieving victory at the newly named Leaping King Inn, the Wardens of Efera made their way to New Verdalka and were able to reunite with Jalissa. From there, they had received an update on New Verdalka and who was controlling the area. The Wardens of Efera decided to focus on 3 people in particular in an effort to turn the tide of the battle in the city. The Silver Rose, a fallen angel with ties to Morganix and her patron. The governor of New Verdalka, a man of law and order who hated being used by Agatha Durandon. Agatha Durandon being the leader of the private military who was occupying the city and the person who had ordered the death and carried out the death of Varnast Halmaru many months ago. After a few days of diplomacy, a plan was launched into effect where the wardens were able to attack Agatha in her private chambers, and in a nail-biting battle, they arose victorious. After recovering from their injuries, the group was able to raid the Golden Cove's treasury and recover some of the magical items to add to their arsenal. Afterwards, they met with the governor and his allies to discuss the plans of moving forward. Using their own troops, Ethos, and the remaining golden shields, they planned to march on the occupied city of New Efera with over 1,000 able-bodied soldiers. While the governor and his allies see to the organization, the wardens of Efera have about a week of free time to themselves. Each goes on about their own business, securing alliances, having better gear forged, or celebrating the friendships among them. While the end is still quite a ways off, their friendships have grown stronger than ever. And that is the summary of what has happened so far in the Explorers of Efera. I understand that it's a lot of content to catch up on, but the amount of drama and intensity and action in these sessions is friggin' mwah, 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 mwah. I love it so much. It is so good. I thoroughly recommend you check it out on Fridays at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every single Friday, as often as we can have them there, it'll be there. And it's really good, and I really, really thoroughly recommend it. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for more. You will get notifications provided you ring the little bell whenever the Explorers of Efera, the Salamander Coast, or the Isles of Avarion are posted here. So if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment telling me or asking if you have any questions, clarifying anything. I'd be more than happy to, or any of my players, to hop down in the comments and answer those questions for you. So, regardless of what time of day it is for you, whether it be morning, noon, or night, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Farewell, and see you on Friday. Bye.